store, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
These are the times when it's the best times to be a Star Wars fan. By that, I mean release week. That's right, it's release week for The Mandalorian Season 2. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's release week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's time to watch new Star Wars.
Right. Whenever you get a chance to see something new out of the Star Wars universe, it's always a good time.
It's a good time. It's a good time. And we'll get to that. We will get to that. But first, we got to talk about everything else.
Right.
We can't just come in, talk about the Mandalorian. Yeah, you'll all just leave. Hey, we talked about what we wanted.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about stuff you don't want to hear first.
No. No, it's all worth hearing.
It's all worth hearing. It really is. But, I mean, you save the best for last, right? That's the saying.
Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, we break that from time to time, but for the most part, that's the rule we like to live by.
Yeah, of
Save
course.
the best for last.
Of course.
All right. We will talk about the Mandalorian a little bit, though, because also this week, we got the premiere of Mando Mondays.
Ah, yes. Yes, we did.
The kickoff event.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me sum that up for you, right?
Sure.
We are 1 week away from the second season of The Mandalorian, but right now I just want to kick things off by looking at some toys.
Looking at some toys.
Toys. Yes.
He said, I want to kick it off by looking at some toys.
Uh-huh.
35 minutes later, we were still talking about toys.
Yes. Yes, we were. There were lots of toys.
I got to say, that was in itself a little disappointing.
Right.
Because, I mean, you did kick it off with Pedro saying, I want to kick it off by talking about some toys.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the whole episode.
I know. I have to say, I went into that hoping we were going to get a little, maybe a little teaser or something, or a little insight into something. But yeah, there was none of that. It was pretty much a merchandising show. But hey, it was still good.
It was a 35-minute commercial.
Right.
Which I'm not completely complaining about, because if I would have known that going in, I wouldn't have had that disappointment.
Right. Yeah.
And I still would have watched it.
Exactly.
But they went through all the merchandise, the toasters, the plushes, the t-shirts and stuff. The Black Series figures you're never going to be able to find.
Right.
I got to take my digs where I can.
Oh yeah.
And some of those Black Series figures look awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if I need another Biker Scout. I got one.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I got to say about those Biker Scouts is those speeder bikes. Man, that is straight out of Return of the Jedi, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the one I got is straight out of Return of the Jedi. It's the Return of the Jedi Biker Scout.
So I guess you're right. You don't need another.
I mean, can I just buy the baby Yoda in the bag to
right.
put with him?
Yeah,
yeah.
That's all you need. That's. I mean,
the Scout Trooper looks a little different, but not by a lot.
Yeah, I remember that speeder bike I had from, 1983, and it was the one where you pressed the button on the back of it and it exploded. It was awesome. Hey, it was cool.
No. I laugh, but I always dug that about toys in those days, right?
Right.
Like they always put some action effect into it.
Right.
You would push a button and it blow apart.
It's like the TIE fighters, they had the buttons on the side of the cockpit there. You pressed it and the whole whatever solar panel wing thing falls off. It's cool.
Yeah, the panel flew off of it.
Yep.
I mean, that's all they did, right? Blow up.
TIE fighters blow up. Speeder bikes blow up. Yep.
I was like, man, the Empire needs to build better stuff.
Right. It's all about
Just
cost
create-
effectiveness.
it's like- But that was the thing, right? Empire built, stuff for mass production.
That's right.
But yeah, that was the cool thing about toys back then. They always had some sort of action to them that
Right.
tried to mimic something from the movie.
Yes.
Some of it fell flat. Some of it was all right.
Right.
But I gotta say, like this commercial.
That's funny.
See, I went and said it.
Right.
This 35-minute commercial. But it did bring some things back to me from 1999, right? This 1999, that's the time where I really got into Star Wars.
Right.
Because I got to see Star Wars in the theaters for the first time.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to the Phantom Menace, there was a big merchandise push.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a treatment that we didn't really see with the sequel trilogy.
No.
They had it with the Force Friday, right?
Yep.
You went out to Force Friday, and if you didn't go at midnight, you didn't get Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to midnight one time, and I got everything I wanted.
Cool.
Didn't go the next time. I tried to go the next morning. I went out at like 6 a.m. and everything was gone.
Right.
So that was the sequel trilogy treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not saying that this won't get that same treatment. That this stuff's going to come out and just be gone. It's very possible.
Yes.
But this is a much broader array of merchandise, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just figures or some special edition drones and Lego and Funko. I mean, you've got Instant Pots. What is this, a makeup kit?
Right.
Shoes.
Yep. Yeah.
What's this thing here? You got like food storage options, poster book, a skateboard, shirts, sweatshirts, tons of different child plushes that move.
Right.
I mean, I do got to say the one that they had in the video where he was chasing his dog around with it, that robotic one.
Yeah.
I think it was creepy.
A little creepy, huh? All those.
His hands like.
Exactly.
What the hell is that?
The motors were making noise that were like, that's a little loud. That doesn't seem right. Okay.
Like I got a BB-8 from the Force Awakens promotional stuff. The what brand was that? It was like a huge deal.
Yeah. The one that you controlled off your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that, and that thing's cool.
Yes.
It makes like no noise.
Right.
You
Sphero.
run that thing, it's not like
Exactly. That was a Sphero.
Sphero.
Yeah.
Sphero. Yeah, that thing's cool. A lot of fun.
Yes.
Don't know if it was worth the price tag, but a lot of fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that thing was a little creepy. I see the stuff for squadrons. They're like, oh, you're gonna be able to get the bobblehead for the cockpit. I'm like, why doesn't it have hands? What's for that?
If it doesn't have hands, how's it gonna do the hand
The
thing?
magic hand thing.
Yeah. That ain't gonna work.
I mean, maybe they didn't want it pushing buttons.
Oh, that's possible, right?
It's like, okay, this thing's not pushing buttons in this cockpit. Chop the hands off.
There's probably other ways we could have gone about
the
this.
Soviet Russia way of handling it.
Yes.
Take the hands.
No hands, no button.
Exactly. You cannot push button with no hands.
Oh man.
But I mean, a lot of this was really cool. Seeing the actors respond to merchandise, like they're action figures now.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Carl Weathers was a little more geek than I expected.
Yeah.
Because this is not the first time he's been an action figure.
Sure.
But it's Star Wars, dude.
Exactly.
So, Giancarlo, I totally expected that excitement out of him.
I was going to say,
awesome.
Yeah, he's shown nothing but excitement about the show. And we've proven that on this show. Playing those clips. Yeah. He's into it.
Day one, that guy was like, up to 11, right?
Yes.
So there was no surprise there. And like, I have a feeling too, they actually did play that game of Monopoly.
Oh yeah.
That guy's that geeked about this.
Yeah. We talked about that Monopoly game and then, he holds up the board and everything. Is like, wow. That looks really cool. I might have to actually get this thing, really.
Which, I always said, I said the promo shots don't usually do that thing justice.
Right.
But that color palette.
Yeah.
For that board is just awesome.
Yes.
Seeing it just on webcam.
Right.
It's like, wow, that thing looks really cool.
It does.
So, yeah, I think the color palette's just really awesome. It just makes you want to play that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least have it to collect, because that's what we do.
Right.
And I love the comments about like keeping it in the box or taking it out of the box. Giancarlo's like, I'm taking it out of the box. I don't care. That's dumb. Why you keep it in the box?
Right.
And then Carl Weathers is like, I'm not going to soil this thing.
That is funny.
So maybe scripted, but maybe not.
Right. It's almost like those thoughts run parallel with the t-shirt comments, right? Giancarlo's like, I'm putting this thing on. Carl Weathers like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have worn, or probably.
I thought it'd be a little much.
Yeah, it'd be a little much.
A little arrogant.
Exactly.
He didn't say a little arrogant, but that's what he was getting at, right?
Exactly.
It might seem a little arrogant if I put this shirt on.
Yeah.
Giancarlo's like, I'm breaking the rules. I'm wearing this
Yep,
thing.
I'm putting it on right now. Yep.
But, I mean, I felt that was genuine from him. He's totally jacked about all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, he's on a Star Wars t-shirt. He's a Star Wars action figure. And he's geeked about it.
Right.
Carl Weathers, like, you can see he was geeked about it, but he's geeked about it in a much more reserved kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Totally.
But, I mean, we've played countless clips of Giancarlo, right? Like,
yes.
Guy's always high energy, totally excited. Didn't expect anything less.
Right.
When he showed up. I'm disappointed there wasn't a Hondo Anaka Mandalorian figure reveal, right? Like,
oh, yeah. Well, I think that would run into spoiler territory if that were the case. Yeah.
But, I mean, if there was a character you were going to spoil, that'd be the one, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
He's going to be a supporting character. He's not going to, like, totally change the plot.
Right.
So, I mean, if you were going to do a spoiler, that was the one. And I feel like they missed, right? Because we know he's in the next season.
Oh. Do we?
Wishful thinking.
Yes.
I mean, because I really wanted the Hondo Anaka Adidas shoes.
Oh, that'd be great.
I do want those Darksaber shoes, though. I thought those were pretty sweet.
Those are sweet, yeah.
The other ones, I was like, One, I don't really like high tops.
Right.
I mean, my first mechanics job, I had to wear high top boots, and I hated it. I like that ankle flexibility,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, what you think of this first rendition? I assume with the next renditions, we're gonna get, stuff about the show, what's been happening,
that's
interviews, things like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's got to come into play.
I mean, they can't do 8 more weeks of commercial, right?
Right. I think that kind of stuff will get trickled in as it comes out, and I think what we might see is, maybe interviews with certain actors about the previous episode, things like that. That kind of stuff will be really interesting to see if it comes in the future. That'd be nice.
Yeah, because I totally expect this to be kind of like a Rebels recon, right?
Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. I'm hoping.
One last thing. What do you think about this? The way they're promoting this, right? I mean, compare it to the sequels, compare it to Solo. I mean, they seem to be pushing this a lot harder than they did those.
It's amazing. I mean, they are rolling out the red carpet for this show. And we have to bear in mind, this is a quote unquote television show. This is, they're pulling out all the stops. And I think they're recognizing too that this show is like the uniting force for all Star Wars fandom, because it's pretty much universally loved. And
right.
They are not holding back. And and when I say not holding back, here's a little taste of what I'm talking about. This is from Monday Night Football.
This is the time of year when all sorts of characters emerge. And if you have what it takes to be legendary, the reward is, let's just say, bountiful. But to be a star, you can't just dress up in a shiny helmet and cape. You have to play the part and be the best. Beyond the outer rim of Los Angeles, where the hungry Rams call home, there you can see how a captain leads. Touchdown! Jared Goff! Hit Pater! And who better to equip your defenses than the cheat code? Aaron Donald rips it to the turf!
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean,
and it's crazy because they just started this promotion a month ago.
Uh-huh.
But it feels like we're getting so much more than we ever got.
Yes.
I mean, the sequels, yeah, there was short TV spots, things like that. But that went over months.
Right.
This is a hard push in 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. And I know they've done like Super Bowl ads, things like that for the movies and stuff, but I've got to say, I'm at a little bit of a loss. I mean, this connection between, sports and Star Wars that they keep making. I understand that the networks they're playing it on are, it's all ABC, Disney, that kind of thing. But it's like, man, you don't expect to find as many Star Wars fans in the sports arena,
Yeah.
I don't know. At least it wasn't always that way in the past. I'll just say that.
Right. Yeah. They're pushing hard. And
yes.
It's crazy because like this is one I don't feel like they have to push as hard for, but
exactly. When I say this show is universally loved, I mean by everybody.
New fans, old fans,
young fans. People that are fair weather Star Wars fans. They could take it or leave it, but hey, this show they like. Yeah,
I mean, I know people that are just now catching up. They're the fan that would go see it just because it's Star Wars.
Right.
And they just got around to watching the first season. They're like, man, that show's really good. I'm like, yeah.
Uh-huh. Told you.
So, yeah, they're killing it with the show, and it's got great momentum. This promotion's got great momentum. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk later about how that momentum goes, right?
Absolutely.
All right, for our next topic. Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to disclaim. Take all your political BS, put it aside. This is about Star Wars.
Yes.
All right? Whatever you feel about politics, take it and stuff it down for, 10 minutes or whatever.
Right.
This is about Star Wars.
Exactly.
Kanye West was on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Right. Biggest podcast ever. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that is like that dude's like showing what the pinnacle of podcasting is, right?
Exactly.
But he got to talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
And anytime anyone talks about Star Wars, our ears perk up like, right. Like, oh, what they got to say?
Yeah.
So we just thought this was interesting.
And this is about to make me mad right here. The first time you can see me get mad in an interview. They said that George Lucas's prequels are worse than the corporate made Disney Star Wars.
I'll get mad at that too.
Like
that's ridiculous.
Revenge of the Sith. We saw how Darth Vader was made.
Yeah.
Like I watched that like 10 times during COVID. Like, don't jump, Anakin. No. I got the high ground.
Those early movies were pure. Yeah, they were pure.
I'm saying even the prequels are better than anything that. And I'm sorry, Disney Star Wars design team. I know you're gonna like put my face up in the office and be like, forget. No, man, this is George. This is his baby. That thing was set in his heart to show us as children the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I dig it, man.
I dig it too.
I mean, no hate being thrown at the sequel trilogy, right? Like,
right.
I don't hate it.
Right.
But
Agreed.
There is something different about it.
There's definitely something different. Yes. Yes. And I think what we have here is just somebody recognizing the passion that one man had for this whole franchise, the creator, from all those years ago. You can't deny that.
Right. And, he even hits on it. He says, when we were kids, George Lucas had a thing about targeting the younger audience.
Yes.
And which is really what got the prequel trilogy part of its hate, right? Was the Jar Jar stuff.
Right.
The fart jokes. And
yeah.
Things like that. People are like, like that has no business in Star Wars.
Right.
Like Han did yell at Chewie, like, I don't care what you smell. Like,
Right.
Like this kind of humor wasn't already there. Now, okay, the politics in the prequels set some people off.
Right.
But yeah, it was not as big as some people make it out to be.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
they totally hit on the childhood imagination of Star Wars with the prequels. George knew what he was doing. He knew who his audience was, and it wasn't the original trilogy fans.
Right.
His target audience was kids. Sparking imagination. He knew he was making a new trilogy for a new generation.
Right.
So of course it didn't hit. Because older Star Wars fans were thinking of it with their childhood fondness, and then adding their adult,
baggage
and baggage to it, right?
Yeah.
And the original trilogy seemed more adult to them, right? Because they grew up with it, they understood it,
right?
So the prequels, oh man, that's just childish,
right?
Like, why you got all this blah, 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 crap? But for me, like, I'm that generation, right?
Right.
I'm prequel generation. I got hooked on Star Wars when it came to the prequels because that was the first time I got to experience it in theaters. It was just, that was my jam.
Right.
So I came at it from a different angle. you were one of those original trilogy fans who were just able to toss that baggage aside and come at it from that angle. So you never had that hate for it, right? You never had that.
I didn't. And I got to say, for me, you know, when I saw the prequels, I just took the story in, you know, and what was there was there. I've tried to do that all the way throughout, including the sequels, and you know, I'm going to tell you, I don't agree with Kanye on everything, but this is one point that I have to agree. It's the prequels. They're always going to rank a little more elevated, I think, than the sequel for me, you know. But
yeah, I mean,
just saying.
Yeah, I'm with you there, right?
And,
I don't agree with Kanye and everything, but man, as a prequel fan,
right?
I'm with you, man.
Yeah, and I love how he, you know, when he says I watched it 10 times during the lockdown and all that, I believe him. You know, he talks about one of the key moments. You know, Anakin, I have the high ground. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, I believe it. So, you know, since he had brought up the topic of Star Wars, you know, Joe Rogan later used it to help get a point across, which I thought was relevant in this context.
It's almost like you were talking about the Disney Star Wars movies, that then it's not a work of art. It's a formula. Like 2 + 2 is 4. Let's put those together. We'll make some money. Instead of the original Star Wars, which was the hero's journey, which was like a Joseph Campbell book. It's like there was a beauty and a purity to it. It's an expression. Like someone comes up with an idea and they bring it to fruition, and then you get to watch and you're like, wow, it moves you. The new movies don't move you.
So
yeah,
if you know, if there's a way to put it, I think that's a pretty good way of putting it. They do feel like they were. We've said it before, right? Created by committee, right?
Yeah. And I think the top brass reaction to Star Wars post sequel trilogy is proving that point.
Yes.
You know, they reanalyze how they approach that.
Yep.
You know, now they're coming out. It's like, oh, it turns out we got thousands of years of Star Wars to look at.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding.
Right. And you look at all the success of The Mandalorian, and when you got two guys at the top, mainly one, Jon Favreau, utilizing Dave Filoni and making fabulous Star Wars.
And they're making fabulous Star Wars, and they're putting in nuggets, right?
Right.
So they're putting in nuggets that tease that old stuff, but they're not just straight up, you know, grabbing the formula. Like, this is what George did in 1977.
Right.
They're not just saying, okay, this is what he did then, this is what we got to do now. No,
exactly.
That's not how it works.
No.
You got to build on it.
Yeah, you build on it, and you know, for all the people that would like to say, you know, well, you know, doing this or seeing that in the show is all fan service. Yes, I am a fan, and I would like to be serviced. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the end of season 1, right? And Moff Gideon, you see that blade pop out from that TIE fighter.
Yes.
You know, this is how it's going to end. We're going to show you this blade that you saw in the Clone Wars, the animated series, come through this TIE fighter, and then he's going to stand with it posturing at the end.
Yeah.
And every Star Wars fan went, oh, shit.
Uh-huh.
You know,
I have to say, my family looked at me, my reaction to that scene, like I was insane. And I loved it.
I lost my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The Darksaber? We're doing this?
Yes.
That's what we need. We need those moments. Like, we're doing this? We're going down this road.
Yeah.
We need to be surprised. We don't want to see the same thing again. That's not how this works. Yeah, we want to see things that tie it together, sure. But we don't want to see the same stuff over again.
Right.
you can do that. You can stick to the formula and you'll make stuff that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll be like, okay, that was not that bad.
Right.
But we're never going to go, wow, that was great.
But you're always going to be able to tell that you can't put your finger on it necessarily, but there's something just a little bit lacking, right? If you go by this, paint by numbers, formulaic kind of way of going about doing things.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to make the sequel trilogy better. How they could have made it better.
Yeah?
Hondo Onaka.
Yes. Of course.
I mean, in all seriousness, it would have helped.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Great stuff there, right? Like, I mean, it gets you talking.
Absolutely.
Star Wars. Worth bringing up.
Yep.
Like I said, it's good. Put all the politics aside for a moment.
Right.
We're here to talk Star Wars. Just
Absolutely.
forget about that.
I love hearing when anybody talks Star Wars, so.
Yeah.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right. Enough screwing around. It's time to talk The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And of course, we'll give the obligatory, we are going to spoil this.
Yes.
So,
spoil everything.
If you have not watched it and you don't want to be spoiled, turn it off, come back. Go watch it. Come back and listen to this part after that.
Right.
Because we are no holds barred right now. There's not going to be any tiptoeing around.
No.
All right, Doug. Man, what'd you think?
Well, it was something. I gotta say, my first thoughts as I started watching this was like, dang, 90% of the trailer is like in the first 2.5 minutes of the show, but
Yeah, that was pretty much the trailer.
yeah, except for the snowy ice world, right, and the X-wings, but all that part was cool. I gotta say, right, there was a bunch of talk of all this, he's going through this town with all this graffiti and everything, oh, that's gotta mean Sabine. We didn't even know where that was. Right? It didn't matter, right?
Yeah. There was tons of graffiti. I was blown away, by how much there was.
Right.
It was literally everywhere.
But overall, I was really, I was pleased with the episode. Okay. Cobb Vanth for me. I was.
Oh, we're jumping there already.
Well, you said overall, right?
Okay.
So as soon as I saw Boba Fett's armor walk through the door, clearly not on Boba Fett, I was, I thought, oh, we are going to get this guy. So, because I got to be honest, for me, that's just coming from a source material that I was disappointed with. Now, I will say, this show made Cobb Vanth a more interesting character. So,
well, I'll say this about Cobb Vanth, even in the Aftermath books.
Yeah.
The character had opportunities to be a good character. There was stuff there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't materialized.
It wasn't. Yeah, exactly.
Because the story's cool about, the town and all that. but it wasn't explained this way.
Right.
You know, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this happened.
We did get a lot of like re-explanation of the character, which you need because you have a lot of people watching the show that didn't read the book. But
well, I mean, in this show, I mean, they talked about the character and then they didn't go talk about Han Solo. So
right, yeah, exactly. That is a good point. But
I mean, I think this is what this character can do if this character is allowed to breathe. You know, if the story is allowed to breathe, then you don't have to, you know, do a what were they called?
I forget. Interludes.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, could you imagine how pissed you'd be if you see an interlude in the middle of this?
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
I almost started to feel that way though. As soon as they started taking off on the speeder bikes, you know, he started like riding around Anakin's like pod racer motor, and you know, they go into flashback mode, and I was like, oh, but then, you know, they just kind of told the story, and it was like, it's all right. So,
would you say that's Anakin's pod race motor?
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a pod racer engine,
right?
But I was trying to like really pay attention and see. I didn't have time to compare them.
Right. I don't think it's exact, but you know, I'm just throwing that out there as a joke.
But it was the first thing I thought. I was like, is that really Anakin's pod race?
He is on Tatooine.
Yeah. But it was definitely a pod race motor strapped to a chair.
Right.
Which is neat. You know, you think of Tatooine as this, you know, kind of, you know, off the beaten path world, right?
Yeah.
Things are kind of cobbled together.
Right. You have to make do with what you got. Yeah.
Yep. That's what you would see. And I like that.
Yeah.
I
Me
like
too.
how they're doing that.
Me too. There's also the the R5 thing. I thought, ooh, it very well could be the same R5. You know, Pelly's like, hey, hurry it up. That was funny. I was like, careful, the guy's got a bad motivator.
Like, you want him to blow up? Like, take your time.
Right.
Yeah, so I will say this about this episode. And overall, I think I'm with you. You know, it was a little shock to the system.
Right.
With, you know, with Cobb Vanth and everything that was going on.
Right.
But man, overall, it was really good.
It's still got all the same hallmarks, right? The you know, it looked stunning. It was, you know, epic in scale still. You know, I you can't complain about any of that.
Right.
But I will say, when those two were like starting to team up, I just have this, you know, you have Cobb Vanth and he's got Boba Fett's armor, you know, it was clear. I mean, he puts the helmet down on the table and it's like, oh, there's the dent. There's, you know, it's
yep.
You knew it before, but it was like, that's the confirmation.
It's a little more beat up.
And that's the armor that everybody, you know, first fell in love with the Mandalorian armor with, but it's like Mando's like, he's our Mandalorian now, you know? That's how I felt about it.
When it comes to, you know, iconic armor in Star Wars, you know, it's probably number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Vader,
yeah,
then Boba Fett.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the things that you think of, right?
Sure.
I mean, and, you know, I'd say Stormtrooper, but I'd put Stormtrooper at third because Boba Fett has this following, right?
Right.
And it's recognizable. Boba Fett's armor is recognizable even by people who are not fans.
Absolutely.
Because of one, it just looked awesome, so it stuck with you.
Right.
2, the character has a following, and that, you know, has bled over into the not everyday fan.
Right.
And mainly because it is just so badass.
Yeah.
That's one thing you'll never hear me say about Boba Fett, is that Boba Fett looked dumb.
Right.
You know, I have my issues because I don't understand the cult following, right?
Right.
This idea that the character was just amazing. I'm like,
Well, I've got to say this about that for you, because I like the little nod where Mando takes the butt of his rifle and hits the jetpack. It's like, hey, that happened before. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then also, I think we all finally got what but many have claimed to have had in the past and didn't, is the rocket firing Boba Fett figure, right?
That was so cool. That was so cool. When they showed that flashback and he, you know, the thing flipped down and, you know, he targeted the thing and leaned over and fired that rocket.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That was cool. Yeah. And you know, as a kid, right, you have these figures and it's like the only way this rocket could work is if he's in flight, you know, because it's like going straight off, you know, your back, right? But then they just showed away. It's like, oh, targeting system in the helmet, guiding. Oh, got it. Cool. You know?
Oh, it's a javelin.
Right. So that was cool. But, you know, I gotta say, picking out the armor on the speeder bike, that was a good catch from the trailer that everyone like examined, because that was clear.
Oh, it was clear.
Yeah.
And it was much clearer in this than it was in the trailer. They did a good job in the trailer of
obscuring,
making that real quick.
Right.
And real hard to see, but man, people have eagle eyes, man.
Oh yeah.
So I will say this. It does bring into question this rocket, right?
Yeah.
Why did Boba Fett go over to the skiff instead of just blowing the damn thing up?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I know why, because you can't just kill the heroes, but
yeah, well, yeah, clearly.
But saying that would have been a better move. Like, I ain't got time for this. They're supposed to die anyway.
Right.
And Jabba wasn't exactly like number one on protecting his employees.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say, is you had this all, you know, weak-way guards over there, like, you didn't want to take them out, but I don't think Jabba'd mind, really.
No, if it gets the job done, you get more.
Exactly.
I mean, eventually they're going to go, dude, do you even care?
But, so I don't know where.
I do want to say,
okay,
this.
go ahead.
I want to reel it back to the beginning of the episode.
Okay, go ahead.
The amount of, I don't know if this is the right word, but I'm going to use it. The brutality in the beginning of this episode. I was like, whoa. Didn't really see that coming. The fight sequence.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he stabs the one guy and then throws a knife and gets the other guy. I'm like, whoa.
Right.
It was just a brutal fight sequence for Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, for Star Wars, yes.
But at the same time, that's the kind of stuff I expected to see in this show.
Right.
So I'm glad to see that they are showing the ins and outs of living such a dangerous lifestyle like that.
because it's not going to be clean all the time. Sometimes
Right.
it's messy.
It can't be. And they alluded to that last season, and there was a little nod to it in this episode, Right now, in front of the kid, he's seen worse,
I did love when he got whistling birds or whatever.
Right.
When he loaded those up, and the kid's like, time to close this thing.
Oh, yeah.
That scene was as wonderful as it seemed it was in the trailer.
Right. And I got to say, the little floating pram thing, in our opening shots, it looked like that thing's been out and about. Like it's taken a little wear since the last time we saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys have been at it for a little while, it looks like.
Yeah, moving around, because he had a lead. So he had to get that lead from somewhere.
Right.
Because at one point it's like, wow, it seems like it's picking right up. And then you start to put those pieces together. It's like, oh yeah, sometimes definitely passed because, he's got leads.
Yep.
He's probably bounced around a little bit to get to this point.
Right.
Which makes sense because you're not just going to get a solid lead right out the gate, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. What do you think about Mando? Like, we saw him communicate with the Tuskens last season, but it was like way more in depth in this episode.
Oh, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I really dug that. Yeah, before he just used the sign language.
Right.
And now he's actually vocalizing.
Yeah.
Now I'm assuming he's aided in that vocalizing.
With the helmet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. It's clear that he understands it for sure. And he even says at the towards the beginning of the episode, I've spent a lot of time on Tatooine, so it's like, it's okay. If you spend that much time there, maybe you pick it up, but man, wow.
Well, he definitely understands that the Tuskens are not something that you want as an enemy.
Right.
If you've got to get around on Tatooine, having the ability to communicate and make deals is probably in your best interest.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you're after a bounty, the last thing you want to do is have to fight your way through every time.
Right.
I'm sure Tatooine, he's probably spent a lot of time there because that's probably a place people go to try and disappear.
Sure. And yeah, he made it clear last season, right? That, if you have to trade with them a little bit, that's the cost of doing business. Whereas a lot of people, like last season, we're just going to plow through these guys, but it doesn't work out for them.
Right.
So, what'd you think of the Crate Dragon?
Well, the Crate Dragon has had a lot of legend to it, right?
Sure.
Over the years. And I think that anything with that kind of mystery and legend to it, they had to go all out.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, did they nail it. That thing was awesome.
Right.
And it's shown just what they're willing to do with this show.
Oh, yeah.
Because the scale of that is not what you expect to see on TV.
Exactly.
In a TV show.
Yeah.
And really, this is why this show is having the success it's having, because they're willing to do this kind of stuff.
Sure, absolutely.
And that was just awesome.
Yeah. I mean, this is, they delivered on, in episode 4, the very first film, when Obi-Wan does the Crate Dragon call, right? And the Tuskens run away. Well, now you know why. I mean, it's pretty clear. This was when you were being menaced by one of these things on Tatooine, it was a big problem.
Yeah, and the Tuskens,
with the way they use banthas and things like that, something like that crate dragon is going to be, targeting them.
Right. Be a problem
Because
for
they've
them.
got an awesome food source.
Right.
So yeah, when they hear, crate dragon noises, yeah, it's probably time to bail.
Yeah.
Because you see how quick it deals with, little beings. What'd you think of the whole like spewing acid thing?
That caught me a little off guard. I didn't quite expect that, but and I can't recall if I had heard that from Legend materials or not, but that was like, wow, okay, that makes this thing way harder to kill.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, okay, this is very Starship Troopers.
Yeah, true. Okay, yep.
But I'm cool with it.
Right. Okay, so the crate dragon is like, it's the toughest guy in the block on Tatooine, right? So why would it necessarily need that defense mechanism? I know I'm overthinking it, but it's like, okay. And you're right. Now that you say it, Starship Troopers, definitely.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, something that big, got a big stomach, lots of acid there, easy to utilize.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe it uses something like that to eat something like a Sarlacc, which they hinted to.
Right.
If you start digesting it first.
Yeah.
It may not be a defense mechanism. It might be aid for eating bigger stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like it did just like eliminate the people though.
Right. But the people are small.
Yeah. Yeah.
A Sarlacc, that ain't small.
Right.
I did like that line though.
Which one was
There's no
that?
such thing as an abandoned Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
You eat the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
Oh. Ruh-roh. Yeah, I mean, even because what it was hinted that I believe it was the special editions when the crate dragon skeleton was added, right?
What? The crate dragon skeleton on Tatooine?
Yeah. Yep.
That was always there.
In episode 4?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
There was a picture of that on the inside inside of my Star Wars soundtrack vinyl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was always there.
Yes.
I don't know why I was thinking it was added.
Nice bantha skeleton in this episode.
Yeah. Hey, so maybe maybe I'm just mixing that up. They changed the crate dragon noise he made, didn't they?
Yes, they did do that.
So maybe that's what I'm mixing it up with.
Yeah.
See, we always find our way around to the right thing.
Right.
All
right, I'm asking you this time.
Okay.
All right, all the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
The
Okay,
reveal. Huh?
So I know it's coming.
Yep. What'd you think of that reveal?
I like it. I like that as a reveal.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not quite the drunk in the bar thing that I wanted.
Okay.
Like I was really kind of hoping for that. But well, I'll say this: he definitely got the Luke Skywalker treatment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The episode 7 Luke Skywalker treatment.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
No words.
It was funny because at first you're looking at this silhouette and you're thinking, okay, he's got a Tuscan rifle, gaffy stick. But wait, head's awful smooth. Yeah. Then he gets to turn around and it's like, oh. No.
That's Tim Morrison.
Yep. Yep. The rest of the family was like, just sitting there. And I'm like, don't, yeah.
They're like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, exactly. I had to explain it all, but
That's Boba Fett.
That's Boba Fett.
Alive.
Yes. So now, here's all the questions, right? Why is he not in his armor? Why did he not go get his armor? Why, why? I mean, how did he escape from the Sarlacc, lose his armor? Jawa's picking. I don't know.
I don't know.
Need answers.
Yeah, need answers. I'm with you. There's definitely questions there.
Yeah.
I know. I'll say that you brought this up off air. You asked me at first, like, is that Boba Fett?
Right. Yeah.
And at first I was like, well, I don't know. Is it? But if it's not Boba Fett, it has to be another unaltered clone.
Yeah.
Because the clone aging process would not have him looking like that.
Right.
They would look much older.
Yep. Hence Rex in Rebels.
Right.
Yeah.
So, although I don't know what a older clone would look like, clean shaven.
True. But you'd think there'd be a few more wrinkles.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the age definitely lines up for where Boba Fett would be. The scarring would be consistent with having dealt with something massive.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's definitely Boba Fett. As far as parting with his armor, I don't know. Maybe at the time it was the best move when you just get out. Why he would leave it behind, I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's the weird part.
Maybe he gave it up.
Maybe. So what they've done is
then with him watching like that, you kind of feel like he wants to get it back.
That's the impression you're left with for sure. And okay, maybe it's just the fact. Oh, he heard there's another Mandalorian here on Tatooine. Got to check this out. Now he's intrigued, especially since he saw his armor like given to him. So,
Now, there were pieces missing.
Sure. I don't think the Jawas are thorough, real thorough.
Like maybe when he climbed out, he was close to dead.
Maybe.
And, he was found laying there by Jawas. And Jawas, if you're close enough to dead to not move, they'll just take your stuff.
Right.
Because you can't imagine like he crawled out of there like, yeah, I'm all good.
I'm going to have to reread that passage of the Aftermath book because something's starting to trigger as a memory here. There might have been a little something to that. Not sure. Going to have to revisit that. But
he could have just been abandoning that lifestyle, right?
It's possible. Everything just blew up right there,
Yeah.
If he makes it out, he's like, oh, look, there's the sail barge in 8 billion pieces. So, yeah.
And, it turns out I'm not as good at this as I thought I was.
Right. Exactly.
Plus, if he comes out of it, right, and, the Empire's fallen, you got this new Republic, you kind of know that the Jedi is probably in the lead on that.
Yeah, true.
I don't know if you want to be rolling around with this very recognizable green armor after you tried to kill that guy.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So let's just bail from this and lay low for a while.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. That, you know, he's left that lifestyle behind.
Yeah. Interesting.
And if that's the case, if he's completely left that behind, heck, you might not see him anymore.
I don't know, man. They've created a bunch more questions now for people.
Without a doubt.
So clearly he survived, right? So now what? You know, how did that happen? And now what? He definitely seemed interested in what Mando was doing with his armor. I don't know. I think he's gonna have to pursue that somehow. And how's it gonna play into what's going on here with the child and all that? I mean, he might look at the child as his ticket to, you know, retirement.
Yeah, that could be.
I don't know. I'm just, because, you know, as far as Mando's quest goes, he kind of hit a brick wall here a little bit. You know, he was looking for Mandalorians and he found Cobb Vanth, you know, so as far as that goes, you know, that didn't get him any further along in the quest.
You know,
I got a feeling.
I find this whole thing blowing up, that this whole Boba Fett's not a Mandalorian thing.
Oh, maybe.
That might blow up.
It might.
And he may be considered a Mandalorian.
It's possible.
If he lived by the creed.
Right. There's that.
And was, inducted into that creed.
Now, if you recall, that all stems from the Clone Wars, right? And I forget the guy's name, the administrator for Satine, right? Jango Fett is no Mandalorian. But, right, we know this now from this show. It's more of a creed now than, you know, a
well,
race.
There may be more to it than that, because there was stuff that was... They did do a lot in the Clone Wars of using the terminology true Mandalorian.
Okay.
There was that terminology of the true Mandalorian, which would probably be someone who lives by that creed, but is also from Mandalore.
Right.
So someone from Mandalore may not consider those that are initiated into this creed as true Mandalorians.
It's possible. It's very possible.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, man, this is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, it's going to get deep.
Yeah.
Going to get deep.
My other thought here is if Boba Fett has some interaction with Mando here, maybe Mando has had past dealings with Moff Gideon, because clearly he was tied in to the Empire. You know, he did some work for Vader. You know what I mean? Maybe that's how, maybe he'll put Gideon on Mando's trail. Could see something like that happening, maybe.
Yeah. I could also see him being a useful person of interest for Mando in understanding Jedi.
Yeah, true.
Because even though he may be laying low, I doubt Boba Fett is going to be blind to what's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So he may be retired, but I don't think you come out of that kind of lifestyle and disconnect.
Right.
I think you want to know what's going on, especially because you want to know if they're coming for you because they found out you are alive.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking though, if they do meet up and they talk, Boba Fett is totally going to tell Mando, look, a few years back, there was this Jedi. He took down the Hutts here, and he's the one who got me. It was totally, man. It was a duel of all duels, but he finally got me in the end. I'm sure that's the story he's going to tell.
He's not going to say, yeah, Han nudged me with a broomstick.
Right. The blind guy. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're right. They did kind of nod to that when he hit that jetpack and it took off.
Yeah.
But man, he hit it way harder than Han did.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Hans was like, oops.
Yeah, I know. Boba Fett, where? Love it.
I did like that, though. If your people ask, this worked when I got it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised they didn't have a little throwaway line there where he would have said, had to fix that same thing when I found this. Of course, the Jawas probably fixed that, huh?
Maybe. I mean, they might have fixed it good enough to sell it.
Right.
I don't think they'd fix it to be, like, good.
Exactly.
A little JB Weld.
Yep.
That's the kind of repairman Jawas are.
That'd be Jawa Bonder right there.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely didn't disappoint.
It didn't disappoint. I was, I guess I went in with a little bias. I was hoping that the Cobb Vanth rumors that we heard in the past were untrue. When it turned out they were true, I was like, but it was better than I was expecting it to be. So,
did your family turn around for that too?
Oh no, I kept that to myself because they haven't read the book and they wouldn't have known. But I, it's definitely able to get past that. The reveal at the end was kind of like the mind blower for sure.
Yeah, it was. It's always cool to see one of the old actors back on screen.
Oh yeah.
Though I'm not 100% convinced bringing Boba Fett into this is the right thing to do. I'm really not. Still not. But he didn't come in like this amazing badass. They didn't overdo it.
I gotcha. Yeah.
They're doing it in a way that, like, there is some brokenness to Boba Fett for what happened.
Right.
Because if there wasn't, he'd still be zipping around in that armor.
Yeah.
He would have done taking it back by now.
So you got a feeling he's actually going to get the Luke Skywalker treatment that Luke Skywalker should have got.
Maybe.
I'm thinking that might be the case. The more we talk this back and forth, which I would appreciate. That would be good.
You think he'll don that helmet again?
Not sure. We're gonna have to find out about that.
Well, I can tell you this: if he is not a quote Mandalorian, Mando ain't giving him that armor.
Right. There's that, and
because when Cobb Vanth took that helmet off.
Oh yeah.
You could see this dude's in full costume, but you could see whoa, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, but
what are you doing, dude?
In the original trilogy, Boba Fett never took it off.
No.
Even when he was partying at Jabba's. Right? So, I guess what I'm thinking we could see is, if Boba Fett does don that armor again, maybe they have to team up and handle something, and they get done, and Boba Fett says, here, I want this, I want to see this where it belongs again. Maybe. But man, that was his dad's armor, right? Oh, that'd be tough. Ooh.
Well, here's the other thing, though. Remember the Creed, right? What happens when you take the helmet off?
You can't put
And
it
you
back
can
on.
never put it on again.
Right. That's true.
So, as far as Mando's concerned,
Yeah.
he has no right to that armor.
Right. This would be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm liking where they've left this for us. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's got me excited for next week.
yes, exactly.
That's all it's got to do, right?
Exactly. Yes.
If you want to watch again.
They did their job.
So, yeah. They've shown they're going to go all out. Nothing's off the table in this show.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the Crate Dragon proved that there is nothing off the table.
Right.
So, I will say too, this is a little light side note.
Uh-huh.
When he was on the speeder bike the first time, and
Oh, yeah.
and Baby Yoda's just like, yeah.
Yep.
He was so excited to be cruising.
Ears flapping in the breeze.
Yep. That is definitely memeable, and I expect to see it all over the place.
Oh, for sure.
So
He's-
I expect that to be the number one GIF out there in the next 12 hours or so.
Right.
No, but it was awesome. I love what they're doing with the show. This show is literally
The best thing on TV. Yeah.
and it's some of the best Star Wars of the Disney era, if not the best.
Right.
I mean, I think I'll say for me, I think the only thing that rivals this show is probably Rogue One.
Yeah.
The sequel trilogy had moments,
Right.
but they were moments, man. As a complete package, Rogue One and this show are my two favorite items of the post Disney era.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah. Which I don't want that to come across as negative.
no, it's not negative,
But-
it means they're, and
let's-
especially since this comes after that.
Right. Let's focus on this good stuff, right? That's
I'd
the thing.
like to think that they are really starting to find their footing.
Yes.
That's the way I'm looking at it. And maybe the baggage of the Skywalker saga was too much for them to handle. When they're free of that,
Yeah.
maybe that's when they're going to shine.
Let's hope.
Because I mean, Solo wasn't bad, but Solo does have some Skywalker saga baggage.
Yep.
So Rogue One literally had a mention, right? They stole the Death Star plans.
Yeah. That was
It
Yeah,
really
that's-
had some free reign, and it could really kind of roll with it. None of the characters really carried over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're really starting to find their footing, and I think it's promising for Star Wars going forward.
Agreed.
And maybe in the future we'll just look at it like maybe the Skywalker saga was just, to continue that. Maybe that was just the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Because they're nailing everything else. Because they're nailing this.
They're definitely nailing this. That's what I like. And we got another one coming next week.
And after the week after that, and the
That's-
week after that,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
for the next 7 weeks, right?
Right.
So, yep, I'm on board. Let's do this. It's Mando time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. But we are on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We'll talk next week.